Hello and welcome. This is Benevolent History here, and I'm here to give you a commentary for Shogun 2. Now, this is a 1 versus 1, and my opponent is a clanmate of mine. You can see there, Hannibal. I've taken 3 Yardy Cav, 1 Bow Cav, 2 Matchlock Samurai on the flanks, 2 Bow Samurai, and two Bow Monks, and as my infantry, 5 Naginatas. Hannibal, on the other hand, he took a very spear-heavy army. He took 7 units of Yashigaru, 2 bow monks, heavily vetted, 1 katana hero, 2 ninjas, and 5 Naginata warrior monks. At the beginning of the battle, I realized that Hannibal had no cav, so I easily sent out my bow cav and harassed his archers and his infantry component, because if you notice that all his infantry are very vulnerable to missiles. He brought monks and no Naginata samurai, which have higher defense. However, Hannibal responds pretty well. He sends up one of his meat shield, the Arashigao, to pull back my cav, and at the same time I'm rushing up a matchlock samurai on the flank of our armies to take that I think morale dojo. Anyhow, I rush up my bow monks. I get the first shot off. However, Hannibal's bow monks are very vetted, and they will slaughter all of mine. And you see here Hannibal shoots out flaming arrows. I counter this by rushing up my bow monks at the last second, so that you see most of the flame arrows just flying over my troops, so I won't take that much damage. However, I immediately return flame volleys on my own. You can see there. These flame arrows, they have a cooldown time, and when you use them, you better use them very wisely. You see there that Hannibal did not move his bow monks, so a lot of them died. And here's a shot of my bow cav. My bow cav are basically shooting at Hannibal's infantry on the flank there. I noticed that his infantry are very vulnerable to missiles, so I use my bow cav to do as much damage as I can. So at this point I realized that my bow monks are gonna get slaughtered, so I sent up my bow samurai. In retrospect, I probably should have sent up all my bow monks and all my bow samurai at the same time, seeing that I had the advantage of numbers. Hannibal responds to this by rushing up some of his Yashigaru, but I flanked them with cav. He sends them out pretty isolated, and since he has no matchlocks, I have the opportunity to just harass them with cav. He's also very near to my infantry. I believe I will charge them soon. Yeah, in my opinion, Hannibal should have reinforced his troops more, probably put more of his Ashigaru up. And at the back here, one of his Yari Ashigaru that was chasing the bow cav got a bit separated, and I charged it with cav. I think it's gonna rout soon. So in the front here, at the same time, I charged my Naginatas in. Naginata Samurai against Yari Ashigaru. Obviously, the Naginata Samurai will win. I charge on both flanks, and I sent some cavalry units from behind. See, they're taking advantage of the fact that I have cav while he doesn't, and his whole entire army is far away. It's strange though. I think he sent these Yari Ashigaru in order to pin down my own bows, my bow samurai. So you see that that's a nice charge. Just up the troops. So a top-down view of the battle. You see there that those 2 Yari Ashigaru will not do anything against my whole army. I basically slaughtered them. However, Hannibal's sacrificial tactics with this Yari Ashigaru kind of worked a bit, because it held down my bow samurai, and he will win the missile department. So in response to his Yari Ashigarus being killed, he sends up a few more in his place to push back my troops. So you see the shot of the bow cav firing arrows at these Naginata warrior monks. I'm just shooting them from behind, taking advantage of the fact that those guys have basically no armor whatsoever. Very vulnerable to missiles. Very good target if you have bows in range of those warrior monks. So basically all my bow monks just run away. So you see the bow monk. So Hannibal's highly vetted bow monks basically ate alive my bow samurai one by one. So at this point, I used my only remaining bow samurai and targeted his infantry. I think that targeting the bow monks would be useless at this point because I basically lost the missile department. Might as well kill as much of his infantry as I can, because his infantry are better than mine, to be honest. Because his are vetted bow monks and vetted warrior monks, and vetted warrior monks will defeat unvetted Naginata samurai. So at this point, Hannibal notices that I was shooting one of his warrior monks, and he sends up a Yari Ashigaru in place to block out my bow cav yet again. He also sends his general in to attack my bow cav in hand-to-hand fighting. Now, I should have supported this bow cav. If I had one Yari cav along with this bow cav, I could have easily taken out his general. Instead, my bow cav, you can see they'll get slaughtered. They get charged by the Avatar general. Now, they managed to escape, but I took unnecessary casualties there. So my bow cav manages to run to the other flank there, into the safety of the matchlock and my other Yari cav on my left flank. So the top-down view, you might notice that at the bottom right corner of the screen, there's my matchlock samurai. It shoots a few volleys, and you might notice that my Naginata samurai, it's wavering immediately because of that. Apparently, after the new patch, matchlocks are they're not very useful, because if you have even one friendly fire incident, you get a heavy morale penalty, and that's not worth bringing matchlocks. So at this point, Hannibal sends up his bow monks, and I take advantage of the fact that they were unprotected, so I send my two cav, and harass them. He does send a few Yari Ashigaru to support, but it's too late at this point. So at this point, Hannibal charges in all his troops. I place my matchlocks on the flanks there to get some flank shots. However, what mistake I do make is I send these Naginata samurai, I send them out to attack individual targets. Now, because he has so much infantry, he could easily peel away my troops and isolate them one by one. So on the right flank here, I sent one matchlock just to fire at his warrior monks there. So kaboom, matchlocks are as deadly as ever against your opponents, you see there. However, he does manage to get that warrior monk at my matchlock. Hannibal does a very good job in attacking my matchlocks in the flanks there with some throwaway units. I managed to position some cav behind his lines. However, since he's big on spears, he's basically using all Naginatas and Yari Ashigaru, my cavalry will not be as effective as they should have, or they would have been against, let's say, lone swords or sword units. So Hannibal sends his Avatar general out against my troops. I put my general in stand-and fight. I have some of my matchlocks shooting at the flank. However, I'm doing a heavy morale damage on my own men as well, so it's probably not worth bringing those matchlocks. And there was a shot of my general there. So you see here that all my troops are scattered higgledy-piggledy, isolated from one another. That's to his advantage because he has so much more troops than I do. He shot the ninjas, and I was losing in the middle, so I made a last-ditch cavalry assault, throwing away all my cav just to do some hammer and anvils. However, since he has so many spearmen, there's so many infantry, my cavalry are not going to do very well. He also manages to peel away a Naginata warrior monk to assault my general. My general here is standing there. He's not going to stand the chance against those guys. I also make the mistake of not turning my matchlocks the wrong way. Basically, both of my matchlocks on both flanks, they managed to survive the slaughter, but I did not turn them to face this middle blob here. And you can see here that in the center, my Naginata samurai is just getting slaughtered by by the host of his Naginata warrior monks and his Yari Ashigaru. So I guess that's GG at this point. So you can see there that I basically lost. And here the results screen. For some weird reason, Shogun 2 doesn't show you the results screen right after the battle, right after the replay. So I can't really show it. I have to show a screenshot of it. This battle displays the strongness of spears after the latest patch. It's for some weird reason Naginata samurai, warrior monks, and Yari Ashigaru became much better to use than lone swords. Matchlocks are also not widely used now because of the fact that the friendly fire, the morale penalty is just so very high. You saw that with my Naginata Samurai. And also my cav against these spears army. Cavalry becomes less useful, as I would say, because if your opponent's good or half decent, he could easily position his spears to block your cav from doing any hammer and anvils. So at this point, archers become very important because if your opponent has brought Naginata warrior monks instead of Naginata samurai, you could use your archers to totally rain down death upon those Naginata warrior monks. Also, Yari Ashigaru are very vulnerable to missiles as well, so you could totally devastate them in the missile department there. So obviously these spear armies have very little cav, probably not a lot of sword armed infantry, mainly just reliance on spears and possibly the hold firm ability that spear clans get. They also probably rely on archers in order to win the battle. So if you're up against one of these armies, it's best to use missiles predominantly because you could easily use those missiles to outskirmish your opponent. I also think bow cav are really useful. You see there, even though my bow cav in this video I only had one and it got killed very early on. Um, you could still use them to some great effect to easily outmaneuver your opponent because you saw there when I moved my bow cav on his flank, he's forced to turn his bow warrior monks in order to fire at my bow cav. And yeah, I hope you learned something in this video. I hope you rate and subscribe it. And I guess good game to my opponent, Hannibal. He played very well in whipping me. He's had more experience than me, obviously, in this game. So as you can see by the number of stars I have, awesome, like what, 7 to 8 bronze stars. Yeah, not a big expert at this game. I prefer Rome instead.